Okay, the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, won't be scrapped as many want, but it has received a new mandate. We'll look at this overhaul after the break. Stay with us. The Special Anti-Robbery Squad has been in the news in recent times for not too many good reasons, especially on allegations of human rights violations by some of its officers.
And now that the federal government has intervened, the police department is now set for a complete makeover. Now, on Tuesday, Acting President Yemi Osinbajo gave orders to overhaul the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, and the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has complied.
SARS has now been renamed Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad, and a new Commissioner of Police has been appointed to head the unit. The Commissioner of Police will be answerable to the Inspector General of Police through the Deputy Inspector General of Police Department of Operations. It will now operate under the Department of Operations, Force Headquarters, Abuja.
It will also, according to the words of the acting president, be intelligence-driven and restricted to the prevention of armed robbery and kidnapping and apprehension of offenders linked to the stated offenses and nothing more. Okay. Those and nothing more.
Yes.
All right. We have the convener, #EndSARS, Reform the Police NG in the studio, Segun Awosanya. Segun, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
And we also have Alfred Kemepado, Secretary General of the Ijaw Youth Council, also here in the studio. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yes. I'd like to start with you, Segun. I remember we were here sometime talking about EndSARS, reform the police NG, and based on the agitation from Nigerians.
Yeah.
When you heard this, what came to your mind? How did you take it?
Well, it's a welcome development. We took it with caution and then with measured optimism. Okay. But we will be very factual with Nigerians because we are known for our transparency. We are known for our accountability. The pronouncement, I'll call it a pronouncement because it is, there's still some element of ambiguity in that pronouncement. I'm very certain that the presidency understands how the structure of the Nigerian police operates. We don't have a federal police, we have a Nigerian police. And the Nigerian police system is controlled by the presidency or the president and the Police Service Commission as placed under the Ministry of Interior. I would have loved a situation where the acting president of Nigeria will order the Minister of Interior and the Police Service Commission to overhaul, or whatever you term they want to use, or scrap SARS and then reconstitute SARS. But when you begin to say that you are ordering a police Inspector General of Police to reform itself, to restructure itself, they will move furnitures around as usual and they would call it a reform. When we look at the word reform, the word restructure, these are long-term, these are focused, these are holistic measures that is not done within 24 hours. We did not do advocacy or run advocacies or campaign for stuff for a name change. Changing people's name did not change the culture because the culture of impunity has been there for many years.
All right, Alfred, do you agree with Segun here? I mean, it's almost like government is between the devil and the deep blue sea. What really will you do for Nigerians to say, yes, this really is the way to go? According to Shagun, this is just really about moving furniture around and not necessarily that reform that you expect should take place. But it has started with a name change. How far do you think this will go?
Basically, a name change is not as potent as a cultural change. By culture, I don't mean dance and drama. I'm talking about the attitude, the approach, with the old approach of policing, you understand? So basically, yes, there has to be a reform. When you talk about moving furniture, so I don't know if it's suggestive of taking away the entire police force, which I think is not. But I think they need a culture and a change of attitude towards policing. But you see, it doesn't just end in requesting that the SARS change. The truth is, at this particular point in time in the history of our nation, I'm not speaking for the police. The police also needs to be supported. The truth is, there are so many disappointing moves by the police. But you see, we all work in the streets of this country and we see how dilapidated our police barracks are. We see how they are malnourished of equipment. We see how they are not taken care of. We've even seen policemen in the streets with rifles, AK-47s and bedroom cell passes with dirty uniforms and a whole lot of that. So let's not talk about the right and not talk about the left, you understand? So as much as we want SARS, for me, I am so not cool with SARS because I have been a victim of SARS brutality. Not too long, SARS came to the Amarata area of Bayelsa State and in their usual rascality killed an assistant superintendent of police by name Apos Matthew before they even realized he was an assistant superintendent of police in the name of recovering the stolen car. So the rascality of SARS, it's unbearable. I have seen SARS officers in the streets of Port Harcourt. They're a little bit better in Bayelsa. I mean, the ones who even came to cause that mayhem in Bayelsa came from outside Bayelsa. So I've seen SARS officers in Port Harcourt come out of Sienna cars in black T-shirts without brands. They were more or less looking worse than armed robbers, and with machetes and, you know, the kind of arrogance with it. So all of these has to be cut. So when Osinbajo says they need to reform the SARS, yes, they need to reform it. Reform it first by maybe debriefing them. Maybe that's the latest word, debrief.
Mind reset.
Debriefing them, a mind reset, a retraining. They need to understand modern policing. They need to understand that it's not about executive brigandage or whatever. They need to calm them down and reorder their steps. But with respect to the change of name, it really makes no difference. And this doesn't stop in SARS. Don't forget that SARS is totally reflective of a culture that is existing in the Nigerian police force.
That's the point.
You understand? So,
and you could say that the culture in the police itself is a reflection of the overall culture of Nigerians themselves.
Yes, you can say that. But you see, you also need to understand this about the police. I have worked closely with the police force. You know, when you say you want to change the police force, it doesn't just stop at budgeting. You need to begin to look at the officers in the police force, starting with the Inspector General of Police to the Commissioner of Police, to see how the budget and the provisions that have been made for the police are appropriated even to the downline. Because you have seen a whole lot of police vehicles and policemen being sent out on duty without giving the facilities that have been provided for them.
But that is part of the complaint, because we hear that budgets allocated to each police unit is very meager. And so they have to go to stand on the road sometimes to raise money. That's
sometimes it's not totally true. As meager as it is, if you go through their records, you also observe that it has not been properly appropriated, or this, because whichever Oga comes, you understand,
has its own mandate.
Says it's my time to chop. When your time reach, make you to your chop.
All right, Shagun.
That's one of the things you need to understand about the advocacy, because some people just jump on the objective and they don't understand that there's a reform police NG at the end. There is an objective and there's a long goal, you know, end goal of this. We understand how the police work better than most people outside the system. We understand the system. We understand the criminal justice system and the law that works with it. The law enforcers need not be divorced from the law because they've been operating outside the law. The pronouncement by the acting president is an admittance by government that police had gone amok have been running amok for a while. And I'm saying police now because SARS, like you said,
it's a unit under the police.
So it's not just about SARS. It's about saying the SARS are more brazen. If you touch anything SARS now, people will scream because it is the soul, the heart and soul of the police right now, because it's a money-making unit. Now, my problem here is this. When we want to send, we have a militarized police system in a democratized society. Now, when we want to send military men into a state, we declare a state of emergency to be able to protect the citizens' rights and human rights violations, from happening. But now we have SARS men, militarized men, hanging around our streets, assaulting our innocent citizens without a state of emergency being declared. So you can understand, that the SARS officers themselves are a victim of the system. In some way.
But what do you think is going to change now? Because there were specifications as to SARS will no longer, or the FSARS right now, as it is,
yes,
would not be allowed to operate without name tags and the proper uniforms and going out with the appropriate vehicles and all of that. How would that change the trend?
Well, I will tell you that before the acting president's pronouncement, we had a meeting with the ranking officers of the police, at a program on Sunday to commemorate, in commemoration of the International Youth Day. And when we were discussing, we made them understand most of these things, from the components of our reform proposal, which takes care of their welfare, which takes care of lots of things that will make them do their job properly. Then again, we started looking at how precisely they operate, the standard operating procedures, of the police system, of the SARS operatives specifically. And we're beginning to ask, okay, fundamentally, are these people, if they are special, why are they all over the place? If something is special, it's supposed to be rare. They're supposed to be, responding specifically to a particular distress call. That is exactly how they were designed. So why are they roaming about seeking whom to devour? So they now said, okay, no problem. That tomorrow, we now agreed that by the next day, they will go on air and release a communique to the Nigerian public, saying to them, telling us how these people should operate based on how they were designed. With that, it's an admittance that they have been running amok and we're going to rein them in. But as fate may have it, the president gave an order.
Acting president.
So instead of the acting president gave an order, so instead of them to do their due diligence and rework whatever communique they needed to have released, they just added the fact that in compliance with the acting president's order, so and so and so, and they released that.
And that's the point. They always have to emphasize that it is in compliance with the president or the vice president or acting president, as the case may be. Alfred, it has taken this directive or order, if you like, from the acting president for the IG of police to act, Ibrahim Idris. Nigerians have been crying themselves hoarse all these years about, the impunity and all manner of, in some cases, killings, and what have you, from SARS. Nothing happened until the acting president did that. Are we to conclude that the IG did not see any reason up until when the acting president gave the directive to actually think about reforming and overhauling the SARS that is now FSARS?
Well, that's even my fear. That is why we can buy into the argument by some quarters who say, let this not end like one of those directives that will not be acted upon. One thing we must also add, in addition to the brazen attitude of SARS, is that they pose to be a massive, shameless, extortionist organization, arm of the police. That's the truth. And that's what makes that arm more potent and makes it more vicious, you understand? So these critical components must be taken because, normally they will say if you go to a normal police station, with the so-called bail that is free, with what you come out with is not the same as what you jump out of a SARS station. So the old truth is it doesn't just end at the acting president directive, if not, we can just as well dismiss it as politics now. But they need to walk the talk, especially in this time. I don't want to be pessimistic about it. I just want to believe that we can have a change henceforth. But if it is by the records as we have, it sounds like one of these political orders that may not see the daylight. Because the Inspector General of Police, like every other Nigerian, sees what happens in the street. everybody, whoever you are, you see how the police carries itself.
Yeah, we do understand that.
And certainly he cannot deny the fact that he has not heard the complaints from Nigerians.
Not heard, he experienced it. He grew through the ranks.
Okay, Shegun, we are almost out of time, but let me ask you precisely. You have been advocating for end SARS and reform the police NG all the while. In your mind, what is that ideal SARS or F-SARS that you really want to see? So that Nigerians will be able to pitch the difference between what should be and what is now.
The thing is, we're not using the phone we used to use. We were using in 1992, in 2018. I don't believe that you need a force to fight crime. We need intelligence. So I don't even want to see SARS in the first instance. I want to see a Nigerian police where we have trained men, well-fed men, well-taken care of men, men whose future are not uncertain, men who knows that they can die for their country and their children will still thrive. You know, I want a Nigerian police where you can pick any police randomly and they can represent Nigeria anywhere in the world. That is precisely what we should be looking at. Not creating a unit and then worshipping it as a demigod while the police rots away. You understand? So that's not what it is. What is the police there for if we think SARS is the only thing that can solve our problem?
Yeah.
That is not
Especially
the case.
when their job is to apprehend kidnappers, armed robbers, and what have you. Then you wonder what exactly is the job of the regular police. Now, the new F-SARS commander to be appointed to exist and operate in the state and zonal commands under the CP. How will that work under this present structure? Because you have a highly centralized police right now. And with this new directive, it's looking like a more democratized police. I mean,
I think that's reflective of the normal police structure. You see, all of this is grammar. The most important thing, you know, the most important thing is for them to inject a new culture, a new attitude, a new way of doing things, a new orientation, an orientation
including medical and psychological evaluation of all SARS to be carried out.
It is not yet democratized.
Human rights desk. Let's just quickly list it out. We're designing new uniform with new tags or new logos, and no more stop and search except on distress call to respond to armed robbery, kidnapping.
No,
that's more like a makeover.
They can do stop and search because of the peculiarity of our security. We are not that digitalized.
Police can, not SARS. SARS can't do stop and search.
Police is SARS.
No. Standard operating procedure of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad does not mandate them to do stop and search.
To do stop and search.
One minute. I do not think that in the course of their operations, if that is necessary, they shouldn't do it. But what I think they should do henceforth is that in the whole of their operations, they should be decent about it. And the acting president should not just stop at overhauling them by switching their attitude. They should be supported, like what you rightly said. They should be given good uniforms, good ammunitions, good vehicles, good gadgets. They should be provided for. The salesman on the street who is going to confront armed robbers should know at the back of it, in case anything happens to me, my 2 kids, my 3 kids, my wife are taken care of. There should be insurance. There should be every other thing that supports the police.
All right, gentlemen, we have to leave it here now.
Alfred, continuing after the news update.
No, we're not continuing. There's no time again. Alfred Kemepado, Secretary General, Ijo Youth Council, thank you for coming on the program. And Shegun Awosonya, convener of #EndSARS Reform Police NG, thank you for coming.
Thank you,
gentlemen.